interesting than the, freshman lit class musings about the author's intent. It's to me, I wish more composers would talk process, but sadly, because of, copyright and all the rest of that, and also just the amount of intellectual property theft, it's a lot of people feel scared about doing so.
Yeah.
Or being called out for doing something differently than everybody, because everybody has a variation and an opinion, and it just keeps rolling down. But
I think something that isn't probably as well known, like, I guess, to the mass public, but like every composer knows it. We're stealing everything.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's you can't be truly original.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you can come up with something that hasn't been written down, but that doesn't mean somebody else hasn't had the idea, worked it over in their head 36 times, and just went on to something else.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the unintentional stealing. But then there's so much intentional stealing.
Yeah, and then the intentional, I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah. And there's
no real recourse as an individual versus Disney.
Right. Well,
although they're arguably one of the largest components of why that is the case that it is now.
But I mean, I steal ideas a lot.
Oh yeah.
Which, like, I'm not worried about copyright unless it's like super close.
Yeah. I mean, there is a difference between reproduction, adaptation, and inspiration.
Yeah.
You can take an idea and, frequently if I run into a roadblock, I'll take a snippet, 3 bars of something and just break it into a million variations in my head, and then just find something that leads me down that path. And that is a way to overcome the blank page effect, or any kind of blockage, is just start doing things that make no sense with it.
Right, yeah.
And your brain will tell you, hey, if you just do these 2 things, then it'll be what you want.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that's a good theft. Like
yeah. And I guess, for me, I've always kind of liked to find the hardest way to do, some parts of a thing so that I can better learn the variety of tools that are actually available, or ways to use those tools. And so for me, I try, really hard not to take something ever verbatim. Like, even when I get, given a job to do a arrangement for a group of a hymn for a church or something like that, I'll try to still go away from what the original idea was, just enough to make it at least more interesting to the audience and the musicians who've heard it hundreds of times. But also it's just more fun that way. But I see all the people who are doing it outright, and it's some of it I see is just kind of the desperation of some people, but at the same time, I'm sure there's plenty of people, just like there are plenty of people who operate scam phone companies and stuff.
Right.
There's just people who do the outright theft because that's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
But what it ruins is people's ability to adapt things like fan fiction, of being able to publish their stuff, and then make it available for people to enjoy. Like right now with YouTube, it's just YouTube and all of the social media sites that they have an enormous amount of power. Just absolutely.
And it might be getting worse.
Oh, and it is. I mean, and it's
they're going to add another thing that's going to be that essentially gets rid of covers on YouTube
almost entirely. I mean, it's back in the late 90s, Metallica had a lawsuit that got thrown out where they tried to copyright a chord change. And in that case, the judge knew enough to be able to say, you can't copyright an element.
Right. Yeah.
And
it's
or
like
patent. I think they were trying to patent it or
right.
something like that.
And it's like, oh, hey, we're this. We have this logo that's just a triangle, and you can't use it. You can't copyright a triangle.
Mm-hmm. But at this point, they have so much power in these large corporations and their law firms that are associated with them and all the shell companies. I mean, it goes down the line. And then the judges know so little. I mean, it's like when you watch Congress, in almost every country, trying to debate internet, internet legislation broadly, but especially when it comes to copyright infringement, they're literally just taking the documents given to them and they don't know enough to recognize misrepresentation. And especially in America, it's they have to put so much time into campaign fundraising. I mean, it's crazy. Like 14 hours a week, or not a week, a day of doing that, and then like 2 hours of anything actually worthwhile. But it's so difficult for individuals to really do much. And not run the risk of somebody somewhere stealing it.
Yeah.
And so, and the legislation has generally trended more and more into their favor of Disney and Warner Brothers, and the major corporations in it.
Sure.
And since Facebook and Google and all of the, just all of these advertisers and social media platforms, which are advertising, based almost entirely, that they run the position of being publisher and owner and gatekeeper and on and on down the line of things that used to be legally mandated to be separated to an extent. That this is just outside of the fact that they're just gigantic monopolies, but there's just not a lot of room for an individual to bring a case against them and hope to get anything other than, like, I was reading one thing. It's like, you probably average get like $1,000 for like 200 hours of actually, preparing and court time, not counting lawyers' fees or any of the rest of that, just to press a case, because it's not just as easy as pressing it against, Sony. You have to go against all the little subsidiaries and all the rest of that own the, and
it's also the fact that like most of the time a case doesn't go to court anyways.
Almost all of them get settled out of court with, it's sad how it goes, but in general, when it comes to adapting things in particular, clamping down on that's everything that copyright was not supposed to do in its original intent. It was supposed to be short enough that you could actually have people, come up with their own versions of things and continue ideas on and develop and evolve. But
have you ever made something that you're kind of like worried about?
Yes.
So one of the pieces that we're actually working on now, Icicles, is which you can find on our January Power Cycle.
Very true.
But there's a song from the Fez soundtrack that, like, as I was working on the song, I was like, oh, this is sounding a little bit like that. And so I think part of my brain went like, hey, try not to steal from that. But then the other part of my brain was like, but it's good, do it.
But it's really nice.
And so the more that I worked on it, the more that I think the other part of my brain was like, this is heavily inspired by it. It's fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wasn't trying to steal it. And it sounds different enough to not be, but it's like, it's still enough that I guess for me creatively, I'm like, this is just a little too close for me. Like, it's still far enough that I'm okay with it, but it's just like, just close enough that it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, I hear you. 'Cause I have, Yeah, most recently I have a chamber piece that's a trio that I was working on, and one of the melodies in it and one of the harmonies in it just like I can hear the original in my head. It no longer in any way resembles the thing that inspired it, but I still hear that in the background, and nobody else is going to notice it. No computer is going to see the progression of how I got to there, but I still hear that chord change and that melody in the original form. But, you know, it's I guess there is kind of a process of learning to like figure out where that line is for you and be able to tell like, okay, so how much of this is just me seeing what I did? But, you know, at the same time, like, you know, it's kind of like just with all the amateur music out there of just all the fanfics and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, some of that stuff is just mind-bogglingly good. And who's to say that it's not better than, or that the author wouldn't enjoy it?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's with the way things are, like Creative Commons is kind of a start, but I mean, it's with ideas like that, things are so commercially driven at this point, and there's so much free stuff out there and all the rest of it that it's like, there's definitely a good place for it. And I want to see it succeed and grow as concepts, but it still has its flaws of like, okay, so now everybody can have everything, and how do the people who went to school for it continue to find a place?
We still need to take money.
Part that I was going to say was just that, you know, there's a conversation definitely to be had about finding a path that helps support you know, both camps, and I see a bit of that growing with Patreon and all of the rest of that of, you know, you like my stuff enough, you know, $5 a month is wonderful. You know, just those little things, I mean, do add up. And it's, you know, part of it to me, for like the professional side of it, or the people who just worked hard enough to be professional at it, whether or not they went to school, is learning to see those auxiliary, you know, tangential fields to yours and learn how to better interact with those. Because like for me, composition is kind of like clockmaking, of like, you're really learning to just absolutely time things out, you know, to the milliseconds and split milliseconds.
Yeah.
Because, you know, your brain can't count those individual moments, but you can hear when it sounds off.
Yeah.
And all those little things that contribute to what makes the pacing of a film or the pacing of a song like matter, you know, is really deeply embedded into all of the layers of skills and critical thinking skills that make up composition.
Yeah.
And then when you learn the math to actually describe that, it translates to video, it translates to lighting, it translates to electronics and computer programming. You know, it's the math of a sine wave is very pervasive. And so, you know, you just, you know, learn you some algebra, trig, and calculus and go to town. I mean, and that's where, you know, things like Max and all that are wonderful. But that's, you know, it's the things that have always really blown me away were like especially like the community collaboration type stuff where you'll get like an AMV or an FMV or, you know, video game or any of the rest of it. And you have somebody taking the score, rearranging it, or group of people, you know, and remixing it or writing their own orchestrations to it to blend in. And, you know, all the people who develop the, you know, the plotting and all the, you know, scenes that they, you know, especially the people who do like their own 3D modeling and shit. And just to like really build up a, you know, just, I mean, really amazing work.
A friend was telling me about, hello, Andy, shout out. He was telling me about, have you heard of Beyond Skyrim?
I don't know that I have. Actually.
It's a mod community that they're essentially building just the rest of Tamriel with like through a Skyrim mod.
That's amazing.
And it's just like a
cool
community of remote people like doing all of the landscapes and the rendering and the music. Someone there's this composer that like made a whole section for Bruma, which is just the north part of Cyrodiil.
That's so awesome.
This is getting real nerdy, but
that's okay.
But it's like an hour's worth of music for like the Bruma area.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're just extending Skyrim like slightly down.
Yeah.
But
I mean, but it's, you know, that kind of time and everything. It's amazing, just the quality that can come out of those. And, you know, I want to keep seeing that, you know, in just the creative world. And, you know, this is such a time of shift in general, you know, just where, you know, the music industry is, at least a few years ago, it was 3/4 of what it had been at its peak in the 90s before everything just started just disintegrating at the seams.
Right.
And, you know, I think we're a long way from a real stable ground, but I do see it kind of settling out. But the corporate model is really maladaptive at the moment to, I mean, the way that they treat artists and all the rest of it. It's kind of, I mean, it's not far from how it's always been.
Sure.
But it's, I mean, it's people trying to outcompete what you can pay for, you know, in an overseas market or anything else. And it's just going to continue to be tough.
Yeah.
But I still think there's plenty of rooms and niches for people to be able to find, you know, purchase. Yeah. I mean,
there's because also plenty of niche.
Yeah.
For everyone to purchase if you haven't yet read Thus Spake Zarathustra.
Yeah.
I actually haven't. But
it's actually really Satra is just fun. I mean, just he I don't know. Existentialism is just fun.
But yeah, with the corporate model thing, I have been really disappointed in the film industry and like not as much the games industry because this year was really good for games.
Yes, it was.
But just can we just make something new, please?
Yeah, I'm this diving through sequels, just trying to squeeze every last penny out. I mean, the Marvel stuff is fun, and I understand why they're doing a lot, you know, that kind of thing where they are trying to plan out a meta narrative. But I mean, when it starts to look, I mean, not with Marvel specifically, just broadly now. Just when it starts to look like the Disney rehashes, like Aladdin 6 kind of thing, you know, or Land Before Time, you know, 16 or whatever number they're on.
And that's something that,
you know, it's okay, but should it take up all the oxygen in the room the way that, like, I don't mind companies doing that. It's just when they do it in an exclusion of every other project and every other original idea that gets brought through Sundance or that you can find shorts on YouTube or whatever. Like, you know, Netflix may not have the most sound business model at the moment, but they're doing something that's kind of needed to be done of like, let's see what's out there. Because otherwise it's...
Except for canceling all of the good Marvel shows.
And true. But I mean, even with the Marvel stuff though, I mean, they gave teams that otherwise wouldn't have gotten those jobs a different kind of medium to explore it through. And, you know, great for them. I mean, like, and I see a lot of that being kind of where things end up, but I haven't played nearly enough video games recently, but I do hope to hear more and more original scoring out of it and more experimentation and less of the Hollywood soundtrack model of like the Inception blah. Like, I love bassoons and trombones so much, but that sound is far from the only thing they can do.
Sure, yeah.
And you know, I would love to
curse you, Hans Zimmer, but also bless you, Hans Zimmer.
Yep. Yeah. And And kind of on our original topic, a little bit of just on the stealing and theft of Hans Zimmer and John Williams in particular. So much of their music is taken from composers of the 1850s on.
Yeah.
And nobody blinks an eye, and it seems like it's almost a anathema even in like academic circles to just point that out of like, how much of Star Wars was lifted pretty directly from Stravinsky. I mean, and it sounds good though, I mean, and he did, I've sat down at least with that part of Star Wars and everything that I'm thinking of. In Empire. Yep. But and in Empire, like some of the space themes were taken from, I think it was Petrushka. It may be Rite of Spring, but it was one of those two. But especially some of the ambient incidental stuff, that a lot of that was taken from people like Stravinsky who did it really well, and he just changed a few things and other and it came out fine.
And again, we know
and fit really well.
Composers know well enough to shift it enough to be different, but like it also kind of makes me think of parody. Whenever people make parody, it's like so close. It's so close.
And parody to
me, but it's just enough.
Like if somebody ever takes my work and makes a parody of it and has fun with it, happy day. Like I will feel like I have succeeded and done something worth remembering. But even if it's just somebody borrows it for their fan site, whatever. I at this point, like I've kind of adjusted my own personal model to slowed down by mental health, but the in general is just putting most things that will never get played in a regular setting, like academic music. You may have a really neat piece that gets played at your graduate comp recital, and 20 years later maybe gets another play unless you pay somebody, and
or
and
unless
a lot of times it's worth doing that, but it's
unless you turn into a freaking Steve Reich or
if you get
Philip
noticed
Glass or something.
I mean, it's if you get noticed and you get the ability to do be presented often, great, but you're going to keep writing other stuff that may also get in the way of that. And so at this point, rather than trying to put stuff behind a paywall, I'm just going to put most of it up there, and donation tabs and all the rest of that if anybody's interested. But it's mostly if it helps you to feel better for that one moment to listen to that 130 seconds again, go ahead. And the algorithms will keep getting better over time. And at some point, even if a corporation steals your stuff, it'll be stupidly easy to have, ASCAP or somebody else, pay them a monthly fee for them just to check all public, records for your stuff. And so, bit by bit, I'm less and less worried about if somebody steals my stuff, unless they are a corporate entity that's larger than two guys in a basement, doing video editing. And at this point with like film scoring, especially, like I think the biggest thing is the same as always, of just have a relationship with your film director,
right?
Because then you can get in early, and there's so much free music. But there's so much free film music and sound effects and stuff. I mean, it's hard to make a living as a Foley artist or as a musician or
curse you, Kevin MacLeod.
Yeah. Oh. and at the same time, what they've done is allowed its own flourishing of people doing things. But and I know in visual art it's way harder. Like everything is more intense.
Everything gets stolen. Well, it's so easy to steal visual art.
Yeah. I mean, it's and the more I've been doing, visual things, film in particular, but visual art and film, and learning Adobe full suite and all the rest of that. I mean, there's so much that you can do to it, and so many ways you can bury the metadata in there and hide watermarks. And at any point, all they have to do is compress it in a different way, and that gets rid of so much, almost all of it. And, changes it just enough to where the algorithms can't pick it up, and yet it's the exact same thing. They throw it on a T-shirt and sell 10,000 of them.
Yeah.
H&M and fast fashion.
I worked for H&M for a little bit, and they're
and corporate models be corporate models,
right? Well,
I only go so far in my emotional feelings.
It's actually,
no,
H&M does definitely steal stuff, but as far as like giant corporate entities, they're actually not.
They're not one of the worst.
Yeah.
Long shot. Pulled off the bike clip. There we go. It's with corporate models. I mean, it's corporations. They have one mission: make more money.
Yeah.
And they will find whatever legal way to do that. Just the same as, a bacteria will fill any niche, that it needs to, even if it kills the host. And that's that kind of moral, ethical reasoning. That's not the most common thing on large scales in humanity. And
although on the idea of money, it's weird that we have to, like, one, people don't like paying for music already. They're already too conditioned to not pay for music.
Yeah.
And then the next part is like having to ask them to do it. And composers are generally and like producers and stuff like that. So we are generally people who sit in dark rooms and work away by ourselves for a really long time.
Yeah. It's the wake up, work, go to work, come home and work, go to sleep. I mean, that's
right.
And with it being more or less fun at different times, because, sometimes it's the bite down and just go through the work note by note, clean it up. And, that's, a lot of people don't realize the amount of time and the amount of time and isolation that goes into creation.
Yeah. But what I mean is that we're reserved people. Yeah. And so to have to like tell someone, hey, give me money for this thing is hard, because we're freelance and there's no like middleman to make that request a little bit easier.
And to me, it's always been harder with friends than it is with strangers. I mean, I would rather, and I have, stand in front of a crowd of, hundreds to, I don't think I've ever done more than 1,000-person crowd, but of just standing up there and doing a fundraiser for something that I, believe in, and that doesn't bother me at all. Sitting in a recital hall full of 20 people that I know well and asking them to put $20 in the hat because I'm trying to go to, do some, like I've had friends that have done their little tours and stuff and done well, but it's, to me, like that room full of 20 people that I know is way harder than standing in front of a room of strangers. But at the same time, like, when you're doing this stuff freelance, you have to constantly, haggle and argue and shill and all the rest of that. Yeah. Shamelessly promote your stuff, because otherwise you'll never break the algorithm, ceiling to be able to actually contact people outside of your social circle. Yeah. And it's been interesting because, like, I haven't, ever since I told Facebook that I have a business, they throttled all of my connections. But you can see the algorithm at work the longer you kind of let that sit as you keep posting stuff. And, at some point I'll have to start paying them the $5 or whatever every once in a while.
Sponsored, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, just to get it out to the extra 100 people that may have not seen it, and to let more people actually see my stuff than the, hundreds that it allows.
Yeah. More people see my memes than they see, like, anything that I'm promoting.
Yeah.
Because apparently Facebook knows.
And
they're
especially
like,
with music. Like, I mean, it's why I started taking the video side of things more seriously, is because a music video will get more views than just music. unless it's on one of the few main, distribution aggregate channels like Monster Cat and stuff like that for, electronic and other things. I mean, it's for the most part, you'll never get a view count that can get you anything close to the amount of time, in compensation. And so really, Patreon and things like that, where you set up individual like funding goals for projects and stuff, and use that as a way to, gauge the people who are willing to pay you for your stuff and actually interact with them. Yeah, that's something that I hope to do more of, because I really kind of see that as the only way. But I mean, you end up kind of having to just continuously live that every moment.
Yeah.
And that to me is so hard.
Yeah. And actually, there's a podcast that I listen to, and it's actually like really popular. Like it's not in like the millions, but it's in the like hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, which for any kind of podcast
is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's great.
But like every episode, he's like, I hate doing this, but like, if you like the podcast, sign up for Patreon. It, helps me keep doing this.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
and it doesn't take, that many people giving $5 or $10, $20.
Yeah.
I mean, if they really like you and like your stuff, and they can give that $5, like that makes an immense difference.
Right. Yeah. And especially like out of, because it trickles down so terribly.
Yes, it does.
Like, so you might get, hundreds of thousands of listens or something.
Yeah.
And then out of all of those, you'll only get like 100 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So like
it's worse than the likes and dislikes kind of thing.
Yeah. So I'm in a cosplay group called Solstice Cosplay, and our first big skit that we did, that we won a skit competition at a convention. It has millions of views on YouTube.
Hell yeah.
And our Facebook page is on the description of that YouTube video. And it doesn't trickle down, like millions of views, and
nobody
like,
clicks
it's still
on that.
Like over the years, it's still garnered more millions.
Yeah.
But it's like, our page is still just meh.
Yeah. The few people who are, willing to click on the link and go down it. And I trying to be an exception to that is kind of why, like, I have way more people I'm following on any given account than are following me, is because, I'm interested in seeing more, and all of that, but it's just being one more person that actually clicked the link to add to their analytics to say, hey, somebody liked this. And followed through. But, I don't know what it's going to take other than an evolution of the company's kind of mission when it comes to how their platforms are set up, because most people are not going to click on the link.
Yeah.
And so,
but, and that's something that I'm still getting over, is that I'm asking for your time already. That's a big enough thing to ask for. And I wanted to be a visual artist at one point, but I went to music. And so like the time comparison between here's a picture and you can look at it and maybe if you look at it longer, you'll get a lot more out of it, but it's easier for people to look at a picture and go like, oh yeah, this thing.
Oh, hey, there's a picture.
And this looks really nice. Versus I need 3 minutes of your time.
Yeah. Or 12 or 20.
And, or with a podcast, I want an hour of your time.
Oh yeah.
So it's hard for me to get over this, like, give me your time. It's weird because what I feel like I'm saying, and I don't like that this is what I'm implying, is that I am good enough for your time.
Yeah.
I'm so good that it is worth your time to spend with me instead of something else.
Yeah.
And
it's hard.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, some of that feeling has really come from the fact that now not only do you have the major corporations and all of the people in academia or who, have graduated from, and then you have all the amateurs who are just as talented or more talented and are also producing things. And it's hard not to feel like, where is my place and what the hell am I trying to do? You know, and a lot of times, as artists, we wonder, kind of, how people are going to encounter it. And it, for me, the only kind of help has been just reminding myself that if somebody thinks it's worth their time, that's their opinion.
Yeah.
And you'll never be able to truly, have a full understanding of just where those people's appreciation is coming from. And so, in fact, most people, think about after a concert, 50 people show up. How many actually come up and tell you anything more than just, hey, great job?
Right.
One, maybe a family member,
But at the same time, I'm kind of an ambivert anyways. And so I love standing in front of an audience and just ripping my heart out of my chest and showing it to you.
Yeah.
But if you come up to me afterwards and ask me about it, either you don't actually want to ask me about it and you just want to be like, hey, good job. But I'm sitting here like, no, wait, I need to continue giving you my soul.
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to, walk away from me. I don't want to do this.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's like the dating thing of like, at what point is too much communication kind of thing when you're just kind of, starting on something and and it's with your audience, it's kind of the same thing. I think social media has helped a bit because it's removed some of that anxiety, but it'd be so nice if somebody would come up and actually like ask about something.
So that we can actually be like, yes, I spent hours on this. I'm so glad you noticed. Or I'm so glad that you're at least curious about it.
Yeah. I mean, and even if it is just looking for, 3 words, but, it's something more than just, hey, good job would be wonderful. But, I'm as guilty as everybody. And, it's always been really easy for me to see where like the anxiety and depression in music come from, especially in adult, the more into adulthood, of just the more isolating it becomes. Not always, not for everybody, it's my experience. It's not indicative, but it's still just, it's easier to find a date than it is to find somebody to jam with or have a single collaborative project with than it is to find, And so it's always an interesting kind of thing of that line between feedback. And I had a piece that I did recently that not only, I knew it was hard when I was giving it to the guy who I had look at it. And he, as he put it, he gave me very savage criticism in my score. He had been in kind of a bad mood that day or something along those lines. But it was one of those things that, for me, no matter how, upset or disagreeable I may have felt about any individual comment, like it really stood out to me and I told him, of just thank you for being the only honest critic I've had that told me something other than, hey, looks good. Or hey, it's kind of the equivalent of, hey, good job, of just it carries no information that they absorbed any of the content or actually spent more than just a cursory glance. And it's definitely one of the most productive conversations following that I've ever had with somebody gave me an insight into their instrument and the limitations of the instrument in terms of the technical difficulty, but also in the communication side of a lot of his comments were things that, depending on the instrument, you wouldn't have gotten. particular notation styles. In particular, the thing that I've noticed drives people nuts is articulated silence. They want to just hold the note as long as they want to, and it's like, no, it's supposed to be short but not staccato.
Yes.
And when you just put a whole, quarter note on there and not just like, a dotted, eighth note or something like that it's the tendencies are less predictable. But with that it was interesting to me just to see that difference and be able to see from just the conversation the types of music that they learn in that kind of instrument is just, it's people assume that the instrument is limited and give it limited, composition. And it's kind of like being an alto in a choir of like, you can do more, but you're just singing the same 4 notes in a 20-minute piece. And so like I always try and write harder music for those instruments to give them something really to fight, have some fun with. But, it's kind of like when you start writing like bossa rhythms for, instruments who haven't come across that. It kind of scares them because they see a bunch of black on the page and it's just like, it's okay. Just count.
Yeah.
It's 2 and 3. You can do it. Triplets and duplets.
Right. I haven't given it to an ensemble yet, but I do have a choir piece that has like heavily syncopated rhythms, and I'm like, oh man,
yeah, and
giving interesting rhythms to a choir I feel like would be difficult, and so I'm wary of it. But at the same time,
if you have a good piano part or a good rhythm section to give them the pulse so that they can feel it. I know. I did the same thing. And I had some conversations with people who I knew would give me a more honest kind of response because, it's kind of an art piece and all the rest of that. It's syncopated and has like phasing, it's all a cappella and it trying to bring in some of these like sound machine ideas. And comment was, oh yeah, it looks neat. No way it's going to be doable by a choir. A quartet, sextet, something along those lines of, give it to fewer people who you can work with directly.
Yeah.
And if they can be your section leaders for organizing a larger ensemble, great. Makes communication way easier. They can, soothe the anger nerves.
Right.
But I ended up turning around and just writing another choir piece for my upcoming recital so that I could just have something easier that they could sing and feel good singing and leave, and the audience is happy, they're happy, their friends will be in, just that kind of thing of just I knew if I was going to do any more hard music for people, it was going to just drive a deeper wedge between me and people I would like to collaborate with. Because then there's the assumption of like, oh no, you're too difficult to work with.
Right.
Or your expectations are too high or anything else. And it's most of the time like, it's hard to communicate to people of like, it's whenever people kind of mock MIDI at this point, I kind of laugh of like, no, at this point, MIDI is accurate mathematically. Like you can go into Pro Tools and zoom in and see where every triple and every duple is and, calculate it out. And it is exactly 25 or 33%. Right. And
well, it's also no wonder why, a lot of composers just do everything out of the box anyways.
Yeah.
Because it's like...
Then you don't have to fight.
Yeah, it's like, maybe a real ensemble would be really good on this and it would be a lot of fun to work on. But, like...
Yeah.
One, we're poor. And so it's like, an ensemble good enough to do this has to be paid.
A lot of money.
And, like... Yeah. An ensemble good enough for this is union rates.
Yes. Yep.
So... No, I can't do that. I'm in grad school.
Exactly. Well, and even after grad school, like how many hours is it going to take to earn enough money just to record one piece that will probably never get sold past the, at most a couple thousand, if you're well known enough, but most people aren't going to buy albums.
Yeah.
But you still want to put them out just so that you have, to me, albums at their best, at their highest form, are like a program work. I mean, in the sense of every transition is planned and all the tracks, make sense together in some kind of planned arc. It doesn't, it doesn't necessarily have to be that, but it's just, to me, a lot of the best ones really could be an entire stage show or an entire audio, an audio book kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's hard nowadays because, I mean, you're also at the mercy of the algorithms. And word of mouth is always the best thing, but even then, it's that requires actually going out there and performing.
Right. Yeah.
And for me, I like to do enough artistically cerebral kind of stuff, but just I like making things multidimensional, so having layers of emotions and of just concepts all woven together into something that's more than its parts. It's going to go over 90% of people's heads, but I won't know if somebody liked it or didn't like it, because neither of them is going to tell me.
Right. But at the same time, it's that our favorite things do that.
Yeah.
And so, but it's different because everyone, again, the asking for time thing, like I don't listen to music by like skimming through all of the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure lots of other people do. I can't. Yeah. I get fixated on an album or one artist.
Yeah.
And I just like get obsessed with that for a short,
absorb their work.
Yeah. And just like get to know every single detail and note. And that's the way that they intended.
Yep.
But
and I have some I've done that with recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there's just too much content to do that with everything.
And not all of it's going to be worth it. And you'll never know whether what you have encountered is the best thing that would have fit you, for that. I mean, and and to an extent, that's no different than it's ever been. It's just now we have the ability to know what we don't know.
Right. Well,
or know the variety of things that we don't know. I mean, because imagine being Debussy, going to the World's Fair and hearing Gamelan for the first time, and being like, oh my, what is,
Yeah.
I mean, but to us, we've heard pentatonic scales since the moment we first drew breath.
Yeah.
And it's, it's worth just continuing to try and keep exploring. Like for me, Pandora really has been kind of the best avenue for that, more than Spotify or any of the rest of them, because from the ground up, it was designed to be more like a musicological survey tool. Because I mean, their thesis is still posted online. You can go out and read it, and it's fascinating of just how to design an algorithm to take music, which has, in terms of basic dimensionality, we spend the first 2 years of music theory in college learning the bare roots of how to analyze music. It goes as deep as you can go. And so with that, just it's with Pandora in particular, like if you don't use the major like and dislike buttons on any given channel, it won't, and instead you use the bookmark and what was the other one? The bookmark and I'm tired of this song features that treats it as a soft like and soft dislike.
Yeah.
And so what that allows you to do is move on and eliminate stuff from your catalog while increasing the amount of variety that's coming in to fill that spot, but without having it eliminate branches that you might find something cool down.
Right.
And so that's been really nice. Because Spotify, I mean, I don't use Spotify for a lot of reasons, but because of the way that they do their corporate model is the times you wish you could see the books,
fractions of cents.
Yeah. Well, and they may have well, and like, I don't know their profit margin, but like their profit margin may be 3% or it may be 20. Who knows?
I mean,
because
at the same
music,
time, the artist is
yeah. Well, I mean, it also
receiving.
depends on how much they get paid for advertising, and advertising usually is, number of clicks and all the rest of that gets calculated in. So they may not make a lot of money off of their stuff. The thing that bugs me is, the many things. It's how much they chunk down on the bit rate. I mean, they essentially eliminate all the color out of songs. And so if you're an artist making anything that's not just punk, I mean, you're losing everything. I mean, it's like trying to sing over a cell phone. I mean, it's bad. But, it's...
Although, listener, you are listening to an MP3 file at 128 kilobits per second. Yes, this is very lossy.
But at the same time, it depends on what you're putting out there. I mean, if this was me playing cello, like, you're losing everything.
Right.
Like, you're losing the attack, you're losing the sustain, you're losing all the parts of the sound that make it more than just
You want to play cello on this?
Maybe. I mean, but I mean, it's
into this microphone, which is not appropriate, but
yeah, we can make it sound fine. I've used worse. But it's, I mean, there's a lot of things about it, but I mean, a lot of it for me, besides all the business model stuff, is the algorithm is not geared towards what I'm looking for. It's not meant to survey. It's kind of like YouTube. It's going to feed you what it thinks is going to keep you on the site long enough to actually click on an ad.
Oh, well, again, you and I listen to music differently, it seems, in that you're exploring and I'm bathing.
Well, and I go through cycles. I mean, it's like I have a couple of artists, a few, I mean, that I'll spend different chunks of time with, kind of thing, and then I'll find a different set and a different set.
Right.
And for me, exploring is kind of always part of it. It's not that I get bored, it's just that I want to see what else is out there, because I know there's 2 billion people out there posting stuff every hour. And I want to find the good parts, or at least the parts that I can learn something from, or come away with something from that's not just like, well, that was 3 minutes. And so it's tricky to watch the algorithms and see where they're trying to lead you and try and manipulate them. But it's doable and it's worth it. But you shouldn't have to go through that much trouble to, it'd be nice if they give you a way to tell the algorithm what you're interested in in basic terms of, I like to rewatch things through, I like to explore music like it was the planet. And so, I look forward to seeing just how that evolves, but at the moment it kind of looks like it's just going down the trail of like, here's the things that we think will just keep most people on the site, and then we don't have to work harder. Yeah. And like, that is the corporate profit motivation. I mean, it works, but it'd be nice to see more of that, and then more direct sharing with the artists in general, because I mean, it's Google. Most of that profit margin could be done a lot with, in terms of like YouTube. But with the way that they're clamping down on copyright and all the rest of it, they may just run out of content after a certain point and just be like turning on. I mean, it's kind of looking like it'll eventually be kind of like turning on cable back in, the 90s and 2000s, of just like, so this is what is on, and that is all. And
well, it's weird too, because like because I tend to get stuck on music, and maybe it's just because this is where I grew up, is that I was downloading files.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Same. Yeah.
And so the streaming model doesn't work for me because I can't get to it.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And the 10, 20, 30 years from now, I don't know. Whenever YouTube is out of business, whenever Spotify is out of business, whenever
they've all been bought by Time Warner, or whoever,
or
I mean,
whenever
Viacom.
Apple destroys itself with its planned obsolescence.
Seriously. Or Disney literally buys every piece of IP.
Yeah, then right, but like once these things don't exist anymore, it's not yours. Your iTunes library isn't yours.
Oh yeah, you don't get to keep it.
And so, or like your Spotify playlists aren't yours, and so I appreciate that. Like my stuff is on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
And those are songs that you can download and are yours forever.
Yeah.
And you don't have to pay any money for it, or you can.
Yeah.
But like,
which I really love.
Yeah. And so that to me says more like I want to take this and just hold on to it. But nobody wants to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Or I'm just being a curmudgeon and don't know enough people to do that. But
and there, I mean, it's the fun thing about systemic problems is the deeper you dig, the deeper they go. Our entire generation, the one above us and the one coming up below us, we're all earning less. And those wages are not really going to ever increase substantially without major philosophical changes
in our culture.
Yeah. It's broad societal. It doesn't have, anything political or any of the rest. Well, there's plenty political tied up in it, but the root issues to it run deep. And a lot of it is, the world's changing fast enough. Making predictions is, as fruitful as flipping a coin. And it's, you just kind of have to keep eyes open and keep adapting.
So I have some questions.
Sure.
Which is, one, what is an optimistic take of, or what do you hope for the future in music?
Few things that I hope more people take time to actually make music in particular. Like I would like to see some kind of resurgence of whatever variety of, just households making music together for the fun of it.
Music.
People just sitting down and picking up a pan and beating on it with a spoon for 5 minutes. Like just
the actual meaning of folk
act
music.
of making music, by yourself, regardless of the influences, or with, especially with groups. Like I would like to see more of that, but in particular, it comes from a place of understanding that music in particular, and the arts in general, any amount of doing those 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, your entire weekend, it's some of the best thing that you can do for your mind, for your body, and all the rest of that, because it's firing especially music is bringing almost every system in your brain and body online. And it's one of those, for anybody who does it for any length of time, it is good for you. It's good for your mental health. It's good for your education. It's good for your problem solving. It's good for your stress levels. It is good just to sit down and make intentional noise or intentional color if you're, visual artist or sculptures or, writing down prose on, or poetry on a napkin. All of that is good for you, but music in particular, it's watching the fMRI scans and things. It is just like watching every firework on Earth going off. It's incredible. And
hopefully
so,
not the big bad fireworks.
No. But as a musician and artist who's been doing it for a long time, it is, the deeper you go, the more you find.
Right. No, I meant
Yeah.
the big bad fireworks
Yeah.
as in literally.
Yeah, not yeah, of course. And yeah, certainly don't need the yeah. But in general, though, I mean, it's that. But more specifically, I hope from music that it continues to evolve outside of purely corporate or financially driven control.
Yeah.
And I hope that people are able to do more borrowing and more fan interpretations of music in the same way that they do of anything else. How we're all going to make a living, I have no idea. Because, like with, I did a audio for a NBC big film shoot at the church that I do a lot of contracts for. And, yep. And, they probably spent an entire week in the city with a full crew, all the equipment that they had to fly in or rent and all the rest of that, probably a couple $1 million to film what ended up being 2 minutes.
Yeah.
On a national TV special. I'm sure they made their money back in advertising. I mean, I'm positive they did. But a lot of that, to me, always strikes me as just kind of corporate justifying its own existence.
Yeah.
Of, here's work, go do it.
Yeah. We are this gigantic being, so we have to...
Yeah, we have to just throw money at it.
Gigantic being.
And so what that means is that planning and that intention that would otherwise go behind, something more meaningful or at least better constructed is just covered up in, hey, we have people who have time that we have to pay for, go do it. And I mean, there's limitations to that, but I mean, it to me, it ends up eroding the popular ability to comprehend what they're looking at. I mean, of just people's ability to see something and take a fresh look at it, as opposed to, through a very manicured lens of, American Idol for music and all the rest of that. Of most people's attention span is now about to the length of, because they measured it.
Yeah.
In all of their focus groups and all the rest of that for shows like that it is about however long that those artists or people are on that screen. It's every single one of one of those was judged numerous times before it ever made it onto a film reel. And that's not really helping anybody.
Right.
It's getting them paid, but in the end, it is having an corrosive feature.
Yeah.
In particular in advertising.
Yeah.
I mean, any advertising is just, at this point,
right,
the most worthless seconds that you can ever spend on earth.
All those car companies make interestingly artistic ads.
It's the funniest thing that they're some of the most creative.
Yeah, no, it's
like they're bonkers and they're terrible most of the time, but
sometimes they're like
inventive,
beautiful and like heartwarming, and it's like, buy this car. It's like, wait, hold on, there was a really cool thing here.
Yeah. But and to me, like the more emotionally manipulative it is, the more problems I have with not necessarily what they're trying to sell, but the way that they present it, because it starts to resemble the worst features of human relationships, of like codependency. Like you listen close to their word choices and it reads like a textbook.
Yeah.
And gaslighting and things like that of you're not good enough unless you have this, it's, oh, you're good, but you're not that good, but you could be better,
right.
That,
but I will say in counter to that
terrifies me. Like I hate seeing that and being so pervasive.
I will say in counter to that there is a sort of countercultural, like, sort of anti-consumerist in general, but like more people spending quality time with things.
Yeah.
Like the Joe Rogan Experience is one of the biggest podcasts, not the biggest podcast. I haven't checked recently.
I don't remember if it's the biggest or not, but it's probably the biggest over time.
Right. Yeah. but each one of those is like 4 hours long, and so everyone's like, the people
kind
who
of the
listen
new Howard
to podcasts,
Stern. Now that I think about it, and compared to his original ratings,
right? But the difference too is that Howard Stern, also these long talk shows, but it's just garbage.
Yeah. Hours of garbage.
Whereas with Joe Rogan, he has brilliant people, like brilliant artists and visionaries and stuff, and asks like these hard hitting questions, and then
and he's another
stupid shit like.
No matter how much of a and to me it's no matter how much of a layman he may come across as, sometimes like he's way smarter than he lets on.
No, yeah,
a lot of time. Well, I mean, and I'm not a long time regular listener of it, but I've listened enough over the years. Yeah, and I mean I'm glad, podcasts are one of those things. I'm sure there's as much trash buried in the weeds of it.
There is,
but I'm glad that the medium has been able to elevate conversations better than a lot of what has existed.
Yeah. But there is a resurgence of people spending quality time with stuff. And that probably has to do a little bit with like, I don't know, this like obsessive thing that comes through our culture as well.
A little bit, definitely.
Or what 4chan has dubbed as weaponized autism. But at the same time, it is creating more of a value in these things.
And I think some of it is, some of it's just a reaction to the reaction of it's right now. It is. I mean, we're at dystopian levels of corporate influence.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Santa Claus being just the favorite example of department store.
Yeah,
is the one that created that particular image that we now as a culture take as the Santa and how the Santa behaves.
No,
and that applies to almost anything that you can. I mean, it just. It goes so deep, but
we're in a cheap ripoff of Brave New World.
Yeah, and it's
not as well written, and it's still just a sad.
This feature is the strangest storyline I think anybody ever can. I mean, it reminds me of Transmetropolitan, which was the comic that was written late '90s, I think, early 2000s, but. There's a lot of that comic that just kind of came true. And it's its own kind of cyberpunk, kind of post-cyberpunk dystopian future or somewhere in kind of there. And to an extent, for most of them, they're not as much dystopian as just a one of the available paths that can be taken.
Yeah.
And none of them are going to be fully pretty. There's always going to be people at the margins who are, lost to the systems. And, that can be mitigated. We need empathetic technocrats to an extent of, beyond just that kind of computational model, but instead, people who actually see people not as just numbers on a page. But
real quick, just as a random distraction, your dog barked and it made the piano in the hall resonate, and it was really cool.
Yep, it is really cool. Yep, whenever that happens, it's yep.
But other question that I had,
I can ramble
which is
many directions.
A little bit simpler. We mentioned the music that we have gotten obsessive with. What have you been listening to that you can just dive in and keep listening?
I mean, kind of one of the number ones for me of all time is a group called Spangle. Then they're, I mean, it's electronic music that's really close to what we would look for in like classical composition, in terms of the amount of layers and intention and all the rest of that went into the construction and but it's I'm trying to think of the right subgenre,
right.
but kind of a psy ambient kind of esque, but it's a little too active for me to call it ambient. Like, I mean, it's much more like taking a journey to listen through the album than it is anything, and it's kind of a new impressionism. And it's after my analytical techniques class this semester. A lot of my stuff, I would say, falls in one level or another, at least in like aspects of their construction, into that kind of impressionist mindset of I'm trying to take a large picture and boil it down into sound, or represent it as sound. And no matter how the form comes out, at the heart of most of the pieces that I write, it's not just a musical idea. It's a emotional idea wrapped inside of like a conceptual idea of like there's a mathematical piece, but it also plays into and some of them have more programmatic elements and stuff to them, and kind of with that it becomes like I can see out of an individual idea, a stage show and a album and a video, and see all of these elements, and then it comes down to just picking which kind of thing.
So name that artist again.
So Shpongle, Shpongle. My favorite album by them is Ineffable Mysteries from Shpongleland, and the title track to that, Ineffable Mysteries, is probably one of my favorite electronic electroacoustic compositions I've ever listened to 10,000 times or however many. But it just incredible album. But yeah, no, they've been always been a big one. Trying to remember the name, but recently started diving through the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack again. Yoko Kanno, I think, is who did that. But oh my God, 6 albums of just some of the best.
I was talking to a friend about this, but like Japanese jazz, like
it's something else.
When you hear it, you can kind of tell that it's Japanese. Like it sounds like jazz, but it's like this is too clean.
Yeah. I mean,
like, this is too perfect and intentional to be kind of
like their
American
language.
Jazz.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like their language of long strings of stress and relief and stress and relief. And their jazz is just incredible. I mean, it really, I mean, they are kind of one of the big homes of jazz at this point, and it's beautiful. And that album is... or a series of albums is just some of the best. But also on a random place recently, it's kind of always been a palate cleanser of mine, is going back to the Metalocalypse opera, the Death Star or Doomstar Requiem. There we go, Doomstar Requiem. And it's silly, of course. I mean, it's Brendan Small just having fun with the last hurrah of a TV show that he got 5 seasons of that he never thought he would ever get to do. But when you sit down and you listen through it and you piece through the lyrics and all the rest of that, I mean, it's one of the best unconventional operas I've ever come across, or musicals or anything else, because I mean, the entire thing is sung and all. I mean, it's perfectly operatically constructed for the group that he had in it, and the characters. And it's to me, it's kind of everything that, well, not everything. It's a large part of what I see wanting to see music do is just stop always trying to be to one direction or another, and instead just make the right thing.
Right.
For
also don't try to be one direction.
Yeah. yeah. But but yeah, with that though, of just that album is totally worth a listen. I mean, it's fun, it's stupid, it's incredibly well constructed. Just, and the mixing and all the rest of that. But also he has 2 other albums, the Galacticon, I think is what they're called, 1 and 2. And they're also program albums. And so each one of them, like, is all in the lyrics and everything, has a whole story and all the rest of that. And to me, especially with people who want to be professionals at it and not just a hobby or
Right.
something along those lines, just I guess just to be a guitarist playing in a band in a bar, is to be able to take all of those things and just find ways to kind of bring them all together.
Turn it into something.
Yeah. And otherwise, music I've been listening to has just been, I mean, I guess a lot of 20th century string, music here and there because and some wind band and stuff like that. Because for me, I have a lot of fun with kind of the film scoring thing of like when you really look at a film score, the score for a film score, it's all of these weird subdivisions. I mean, it looks like Stravinsky where it's like every other measure is a different time signature.
Right.
And the tempo changes constantly.
Yeah.
But
it like has to be in sync though. So this is what we did.
And with film scoring, the worst thing that they can say is, oh yeah, we're cutting 3/4 of a second or, a 16th of a second, with one frame. That 16th of a second means you're going to have to cut something in the weirdest possible time signature where it's like 32/64 or what have or not 32/64. Pick numbers, but just I have fun with that of trying to make those moments sound natural. Because it's interesting, just the things you can draw out, the emotions, the surprise, and other things, but without scaring your musicians.
Right.
But
well, that's why they get paid union rates.
Exactly. When they're not students in school already working 2 jobs,
right.
And so like with a lot of things, it's me trying to just kind of cleanse my palate from the Christmas onslaught that has begun. And this is my first year not playing 24 gigs and luncheons and stuff like that with a quartet. I needed a break from it this year.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of been going back and revisiting the old favorites.
What's the staple? Thinking like Carol of the Bells, maybe. That's more of a choir staple.
Yeah, well, and bell choir. I mean, because I've spent 15 plus years in bell choirs over time, and it's fun. Like that is one of those things. Yeah. I wish more
I've never
people
disliked singing Carol of the Bells.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, and with a lot of the Christmas pieces, they are fun, and I still enjoy most of them. For cello, the main one you get is "God Rest You Merry Gentlemen" and "Away in the Manger." But especially "God Rest." I mean, that is as cello can cello. and so it's a fun one to play because you get to be all lyrical and you can like emote with it because it flows really well with your arms. And when you're wearing a coat, it flows with you. And when I had long hair, I looked all metal. But with that one. But my favorite out of all of those is, I mean, it's still technically a Christmas carol because that's what it was written originally as, but it's not a popular one called "In the Bleak Midwinter." And it just has a really pretty melody to it. Like, cool. I mean, it's just a really nice one, and it sounds nice on a cello. I'll probably post one take on Facebook or something like that here. And I thought about doing it this week, but it's not quite winter yet to me.
Right.
To me, like it's...
Where's all that snow they promised us?
I know, right? Although I'm glad that didn't happen because I didn't want the job that I had that weekend to get postponed. Or canceled. But I still would have gotten paid, but I don't feel good about those moments. I like actually doing the work.
Right.
Yeah. And then otherwise, just in terms of like staple music, I mean, really between Spangle and Cowboy Bebop, I can't think of too many other artists that I've listened to as much. But there have been plenty others, but still it's,
So I don't know. Well, so I've been trying to catch up on like visionaries that I missed out on. And for whatever reason, like Bjork like went past me, and like she's not done. Obviously,
Oh,
it's just, she put out an album last year.
Yeah, she will until probably she dies in like 50
she can't
years.
Anymore. She will
100 years.
Yeah,
it's Bjork. I mean,
she's
who
a living
knows?
Work of art, is what she is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, yeah, I just started getting into Bjork, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why haven't I been listening to this all my life? Yeah. Because I could have been.
Oh yeah,
she's been doing it since before I was born. So
I mean, she's I mean, she is a national treasure of Iceland.
Yes.
And for all the good reasons. And I mean, there's so much worth listening to out there. And I remember this conversation in Dr. Lamb's class, actually, his conducting class, of, his greatest regret is that he will never have time to listen to all of the great stuff out there.
Right, yeah.
And that's... everybody has their own definition of great and whatever narrowness to that bandwidth. But like, if you're really open to everything, you'll never stop exploring.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it is the wide open frontier. And at this point, it's who really knows where the bleeding edge of all of it actually is, because there's so much happening constantly. And... it almost stops being worth asking the question to an extent of, just...
Right. But at the same time, it is where, like, not everything has to have this, like, gigantic weight, because it's like, you can slow down and listen to a Metalocalypse opera or, like, a friggin' Tenacious D album.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, and, like, this choir piece that I went back and wrote because the other one was too hard. I mean... I wrote it just to be something that I wanted to write. Just hopefully it'll be fun to sing. I mean, that's actually when the lyrics are kind of Monty Python in terms of like the Life of Brian. The it's always or the always look to the bright side of life. Eric Idle is very good at burying a lot of really deep nihilism in his stuff, and it's all present in the song too, but in just kind of the flowery look at the beautiful things kind of sense, because all of that exists. Enjoy those little things. And it's one of those, I wanted to write something that wasn't weighty, but if you wanted to dig into it, you'd find some weight to it. But, without being overbearingly cerebral, right? Because a lot of the stuff I do can get way past most people's ability to sit there and be like, okay, I don't have the patience.
Right. Well, someone who does that really well, or did, since they don't make music anymore, is System of a Down.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's they're as weighty as you want them to be. Came at the
right time in my high school life.
Yeah.
They opened because it was the perfect anti-authoritarian voice to replace what Rage Against the Machine had been for their generation. And the more you dug into the music and the lyrics for them, I mean, just, oh my God. And the more you learned about their personal backstories and
that's the thing. It's like, on surface, it's just the best headbanging metal that you can get. But also, damn, this is deep shit.
Oh, it's good. They're one I revisited recently, like in the last few months and I mean, it aged well in my opinion. I mean, for how much I listened to it back then, and not everything I listened to in high school has aged well. They are one of them. Another being the Mars Volta has aged very well.
That's someone who I caught up
and at the drive-in
a while back, but
so many memories of flying through video games with them playing in the background.
But a weird thing, I didn't realize that Rick Rubin produced all of System of a Down's
I had
music.
Forgotten about that,
which is so odd, but kind of appropriate too.
Oh yeah, no, it's totally appropriate.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that. I mean, it's kind of like looking at the CV for
what did they work on?
Oh, it's the Big Suit.
Wow. David Byrne.
David Byrne, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when you look at what he has done that wasn't what people know about. I
Mhm.
mean, just, oh my God, he has his hands in so many
Yeah.
things. And so good.
Yeah.
So good.
And Brian Eno as
Yeah,
well.
oh yeah, Brian Eno's
gosh,
another
Brian
one.
Eno. He
And
invented ambient music.
oh yeah. Well, and one thing I always look at is like when you're listening through, like, 'cause, you know, it's been a bit since I have done a trawl through it again, but like ambient music in general, so many of the best down tempo, little groovy tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
When you dig through, you know, who wrote it, it's some popular composer who just wanted to put something out that they wanted to make and just didn't feel like, you know, it fit under whatever their main title of stuff was.
Or Boards of Canada or Aphex Twin. Or,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. I mean, the list is amazing. And, you know, that's kind of what inspires me to stop worrying too much about staying in a particular lane. Especially nowadays where the lanes are blurred and many blown up. And so you just kind of
create another subgenre. It's
fine. No, and at this point, everything is fusion. I mean, with modern electronic, you know, and just, I mean, with modern composition tools, you know, and Pro Tools and all the rest of that. I mean, it's, I mean, at this point, everything is sampled from everything or inspired by everything. And so you get these, you know, really incredible mixtures. And I'm, you know, just fascinated to see where that goes. And like some of the stuff that also inspires me is digging through like West African, I mean, just West African rap and stuff like that. I mean, just the stuff that's coming out now and their dance music and all the rest of it. You know, Africa is like Bollywood right now in terms of music. You know, kind of the music to video analogy there of just bunches of little garage studios.
Yeah.
And they're all just making stuff and for the fun of doing it and putting it out there. And if some of them make money, great. If they don't, doesn't matter. They're doing it because they love it. But there's such a cultural blend there.
Yeah.
Between, you know, I mean, pretty much all of Africa, not just West, but East and South. And I don't know much about what's going on in Central, but I'm sure there's some people, but Central's kind of a mess. But you know, it's just really amazing the amount of diversity in music that is continuing to evolve as more people get connected.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it kind of the musician's career becomes just a big varied mess at this point.
Yeah.
But, you know, I hope that gives many of us the ability to get to travel to places and go talk to people and do workshops with people that we otherwise wouldn't have because enough of the technology is connected now and enough people have learned to use it that as long, you know, you have the same jargon, you don't have to perfectly speak each other's language to be like, oh, if you do this, you know, see the difference. Yeah. And it's why, you know, it's hard to find people to tutor in electronic music, but like I take every opportunity I can to go and do, you know, an hour showing somebody, you know, how to accomplish whatever project they're doing, and have them sit down and, you know, and build it. You know, I may show them once and then have them do it from the ground up. And I'll set up my phone, let them record themselves or, you know, what have you. But just, because I mean, that to me is a lot of where I see myself ending up, you know, as much as just, you know, it's why I don't really intend to like charge any kind of paywall stuff for my things, is just to get the stuff out there enough to get interest, to bring them to the actual like deep reading type stuff that, you know, I'm working on.
Well,
and so, yeah, but it's fun.
Speaking of your things to get interest in things, plug your stuff.
Oh yeah. At the moment, the best places to find me are Instagram and YouTube. Of just search Tune Select Go, TUNE Select Go. No spaces or anything funny. That's kind of funny in reference to the work that's on there of, you know, just the crazy stuff. I do a lot of just abstract fun stuff.
Yeah. No, your Instagram is
I don't quite
really,
actually know what I'm doing.
Your Instagram is really awesome because it's like, some days it's like, hey, look, I'm, you know, my office for today is like this
production studio,
right? Or other times, just like here's a explosion of colors and patterns and some awesome music behind it.
Or here's some cello, or and I'm trying to keep doing that because I mean it's stuff I'm doing anyway. It's for me the hard part is just overcoming the irrational anxiety. I mean that what is actual mental health, where it's like why are you afraid to post it? I'm not mentally. Emotionally, that's a whole different thing. And so it's I have those internal conflicts and that slows it down, but in general it's just trying to continue to keep putting it out there because it doesn't do any good on the hard drive, decomposing.
So go find his stuff and let him know that you like his stuff so that he has less reasons to emotionally be afraid to put it out.
Just happy to know people liked it. And, my only real goal at this point, if to boil it out to a real, thin thing is just, if I can touch one person, with a piece of music or a piece of visual art or something and give them one moment of happiness, curiosity, or, help, all the pieces that, the artist would have never thought it would have helped me through the times that I've, lived through and everything, that it's just, I'd love to see, just know that one person at any point in my career was truly, touched by something and really appreciate it, because that's kind of the main reason I want to share things is just for that hope that one person gets helped, or enjoys it or anything else.
Well, let's end it right there.
Sounds good. It's been fun.
So I'm Santiago Ramones.
And I'm Jonathan Edwards.
You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. I have this podcast, which you can listen to on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, on Stitcher. I recently found out that it's on Google Play, even though I didn't put it there. So I guess Google Play just like
aggregates.
Yeah. Which is fine because cool, it's on more places.
Yeah.
But congratulations if you use Google Play to listen to podcasts. You can listen to this on there. So you could dump whatever other thing that you were using to listen and do it on there.
Nice.
And I'm sure it's on lots of other avenues that I don't know about, but it probably gets aggregated to those things too. And I make music, which you can find also on my website. You can download my demo, Songs with Words, which is for free, or you can pay however many money that you want to pay for that. And I always end my podcast with my 3 things. Those 3 things shape my life philosophy. I barely ever mess this up, but sometimes it happens. Love never fails. It's going to be okay. I might be wrong.